We call this meeting to order. Today is November 13th. This is the Committee on Ways and Means. And if we could, Councilmember Gregory, I'm going to catch him off guard, but he's not even paying attention to me. You want to pray? If Councilmember Gregory would provide us with an invocation.
Why don't we just take a moment of silence? Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Item 2, the minutes have been both deferred until the next meeting. So we'll move on to item number 3, bids and purchases. Is there a motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. Item 4 is Parks and Capital Projects, approval city market shed overhead gas line construction.
Approval. Second.
Any discussion? No? Hearing none? All those in... Yep. Second. I think yeah. We have a second. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. Item 5 is public service, approval of Westwood Drainage Improvement Construction Contract.
Approval. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Item 6, public service, approval of emergency repair, pipe repair with B&C Land Development for Rutledge Avenue.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. Item 7, public service approval, emergency repair for Ash Street. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Mayor.
I just would like to point out the last 3 items have encompassed about $1 million worth of repairs and drainage improvements, majority of which was West Ashley for the Westwood neighborhood, and that's an area that has flooded for many years. And thanks to the highway department, SCDOT, they did give us the right-of-way or the easement that we finally needed to complete that connection underneath US 17. And then these other, they're termed emergency repairs, but these are some drainage features in our city that are literally sometimes 100 years old. Brick, archway pipes, Rutledge Avenue, and on Ash Street. So this is terrific maintenance that we're finally getting around to.
Very good. Any further comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? And the item 8 is a public service approval of low battery seawall repairs. Is there a motion?
Second.
Councilman Moody? Who is the second? Okay. Councilman Moody?
Mr. Chairman, I just was curious about this this money that's being spent here. I mean, we're going to do a project to redo the seawall. So is this some kind of duplicate, or is this going to be able to be utilized? Is this $400,000 when we get through with it? Are we going to have some benefit for the seawall? And number 2, is this available to be reimbursed by FEMA? I mean, it says it's a result of the storm Michael, so I'm just curious on both of those questions.
I'll answer one part, let Frank answer the other. So it is not reimbursable because we were not awarded FEMA reimbursement for those type of repairs. So we don't get anything on that get nothing.
Regardless.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes, sir. This damage was caused by Michael. It basically broke up the curb wall and some of the posts along the battery. They have to be replaced because of safety reasons. The first part, phase 1 of the battery reconstruction goes from Trad to Ashley, and there's about $16,000 of the $350,000 in that part. The rest is future work that'll be done 18 months to 5 years from now. So we think this work needs to be done for safety reasons and to secure the battery.
But it's not going to decrease our cost or have any value when we start doing the whole seawall project?
No, sir. We'll have to rework it. just the same. This is for safety reasons and basically to maintain it
Will
now.
this cause us to have to go back and do any additional work, to take this out?
No, sir. We intended to use the curb wall all along with the new battery project, so this is just reestablishing the curb wall.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, you want to add something? Any discussion, further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. Item 9 is Police Department approval memorandum of agreement with the Charleston Marriott Hotel.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilman Shade.
No, just, that's good. That's all.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. Item 10 is Budget and Finance Revenue Collection, an ordinance providing an issuance and sale of a not to exceed $18 million special obligation redevelopment bond. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? Do we have, Mr. Destor, you want to maybe give a brief presentation since you're going to spend $18 million, maybe you can have a little discussion? Make people feel like they got the money's worth a little bit? And this is not a billable hour, is it?
It is not. Thank you. This is the third in a series of bond borrowings anticipated by the Charleston Neck redevelopment project area established in 2004, the initial expiration of which was going to be 2029. Since 2004, we had the 2007-2008 recession. That delayed development around the country. It delayed development in the Charleston Neck redevelopment project area. As a result, the term was extended from 2029 to 2039 with the agreement of the county and the school district and the city. The previous borrowings, $10 million, was in 2007, just in time for the downturn. It was followed by another $5 million a couple of years later. The proceeds of those bonds were used for environmental remediation and some of the hard cost which you see from the interstate or from that side of town when you see what's going on in an area that's generally called Magnolia. Also, by way of background, the city is now having a very nice partnership with a third developer. The first exited in the recession. Times were tough, and they left town. The second was a New York Stock Exchange company that was involved in many activities. They made a corporate decision at a board meeting up in New York a couple of years ago just to exit real estate development. So that wasn't a reflection on this project per se. It was a corporate decision for them to exit it. A lot of people in town knew Ken Seeger, who was the local representative who did a wonderful job taking Magnolia to the next level. Now, I think it's a very positive development that Highland Resources out of Texas has decided to get involved. We have representing Highland here tonight, Weldon Johnson, Stuart Coleman, and James Wilson, who's with Womble Carlisle, their counsel, and they are all here tonight in case you have any questions specific to them. But by way of background from the city's point of view, what's exciting about this is they have, under the public infrastructure agreement, which the city has entered into going back to developers that's now been updated, they have now come in and are ready to sign contracts for about $30 million to continue the infrastructure repairs necessary in this 200-acre parcel to get things going. So the $18 million that's being authorized tonight will pay for the public infrastructure cost within that $30 million. The good news is there is a privately held company with a longer time horizon than the last two that the city has made some progress with but hasn't gotten to the finish line, who's now picked up the ball and done a lot to get the project back on track. And we have those extra 10 years to work with, having lost 10 years due to what was happening in the national economy. So I think it's a very positive sign. The bank that we went to and we asked if we could borrow $18 million, they said yes. The $18 million plus the remaining $8 million that remains outstanding from the first $15 million, the 10 and the 5, creates debt service every year. The TIF revenues that are currently being received by the city exceed that debt service. So the city is not borrowing any more than the TIF revenues currently received will pay by way of annual debt service. So, Mr. Chairman, that's an overview of the last 14 years. But where we are now is a good place. If there's anything I can answer beyond that, or Weldon or James or Stewart, we'd be glad to.
Thank you.
Thank
Charlton,
you.
appreciate it. Any discussion? Councilman Waring?
How many more years we have remaining on those TIFs and on the TIF?
On that TIF, to 2039, because we got the 10-year extension. We went from 2029 to 2039 when we realized, and you'll remember the discussion, it was a lost decade.
I remember.
Yes, sir.
Is that, Councilman Gregory?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. The commitment to provide the land for affordable housing, is that still intact and a part of the agreement?
Yes,
sir. It is. Thank you.
That brings up a question. If the TIF expires in 39, excuse me, will that outlive, this bond issuance will outlive that on its term?
No, it's short. It expires in 2033.
Okay.
This is a 15-year borrowing, 2018 to 2033. It's anticipated there'll be future bond issues as well. And again, a benefit of what this development does by way of TIFs, you all have heard a lot about TIFs. When we met at Bishop Gadsden, you heard about the West Ashley TIF. So what's great about this is it's that much more private investment that will cause private investment by Highland, which will, Highland being in the private sector, wants to sell the property that they are developing. That will lead to higher and higher assessed values that will amortize future bond issues for future public infrastructure improvements to 2039.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. Item 11 is the License Committee. Is that Chairman Gregory? Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The licensing committee met today, and we reviewed the ordinance with an amendment, and the amendment is to really just codify a practice, and that was the 2% that goes for stormwater, or for drainage. So we're just simply codifying that provision. It's something that was in the rule back in 1988. For some reason, it just kind of disappeared. What we want to do is just make sure that it is codified so we can continue the practice just in case there's a question. And we unanimously supported it.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
Second.
If I could, Councilman Gregory, was there any increase on the business license fees for categories? It's flat
No.
year over year? Okay. Any further discussion? Councilman Moody?
Is there any shift from one category to another?
No shifts, no. That's the only amendment we made.
All right, very good. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. Item 11, Committee on Real Estate, Chairman Moody.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We took up these items. I'll go through them one at a time. Item A, we approved that item to sublease that 600 square feet to Pure Theater. Item B, we approved the extension of 1 year for the Old Exchange Building Commission. Item C was deferred. We didn't have information on that one. Item D is the approval of this development agreement. This is the property that's given to us on Johns Island for the northern Pitchfork. So we approved that development agreement that included that transfer of property. Item E, there are 3 annexations. We approved all of those. And item F is we had an update on the Archer School. If you remember, that was the one we were trying to figure if we could put some affordable housing units on that. We've kind of, after due diligence and being turned down by the bar to being able to destroy some of that property, we I don't guess we instructed the mayor, but told the mayor it was okay if he told the school district that we were not going to proceed with that. So hopefully, a private developer will come in and maybe take that property and get all the credits. And what we're understanding is it's somewhere north of $300,000 a unit for us to do this, and maybe with some development, historic credits and stuff like that, we can get it in half. It'll make more sense for a private developer. So we're withdrawing from that project. So make that as a motion to approve the real estate report.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And the ayes have it. Unless there's any further business to come before this committee, we'll
Move
stand
for
adjourned.
adjournment.